Hi, this is Megan Chapman coming to you from Studio G23 in Leith. This is my third podcast. Today we're going to do another question and answer series. And we have a wonderful writer that wrote in, Ever Dundas, who sent me some questions about my space and how it influences my work. Stuart Brimner is with us again. You heard him last week ask me the questions, so he's going to be asking the questions again this week. So let's get to it.
Hi Megan. The first question we have is, how important is the space you work in?
I would say the space I work in is pretty important. There's sort of this mythology of artists that need this sort of beautiful, light, airy, perfect space. And I think all of us sort of dream of that space. I don't think I have had that light, airy, perfect studio space yet in my career, but I've had a lot of other spaces that I've done this space, I love this space here at the Out of the Blue Drill Hall in Leith, mainly because it has a sink.
There's actually something this space and your previous space have in common, is that they didn't actually have any natural light in them, so they're actually quite enclosed. Do you think that's influenced your work at all?
I usually don't think it influences my work that much, because usually I work under daylight bulbs, or I have for about the last 14 years. Now my studio lights that I love are packed away back in Arkansas, so I'm not painting under those now. So the interesting effect that it's had on this current body of work is that I'm painting in here under this one fluorescent light bulb, and then when I take my work out into the natural light in the larger part of the drill hall, it really pops and comes alive. So it's sort of a nice accidental reaction. I was joking the other day, saying it's sort of like painting in a little cave, and then you come out and you see the light. But this is a fabulous space. As you can hear, it's got high ceilings, and it's a large room, and it suits my needs. But space is very important to me. I always have to make it feel like it's mine, and a place where the magic can happen.
So where the magic happens, can you have people around when the magic's happening, or do you prefer to work alone?
I do prefer to work alone. I do think, like many artists do, that making art is a solitary event, and a lot of my work, all of my work, is created while I'm listening to music, and most of the time listening to music at extreme volumes with big headphones. So, and I also like to jump around, and if the painting's going well, I'm usually jumping around and dancing as I paint a bit. So that sort of needs to happen in a solitary environment.
It's interesting because the solitary environments that you're in, and with your music, the music, you listen to it through headphones, is that right?
Yes.
So with the solitary environment and the headphones, it's all about enclosing, bringing, kind of almost cutting yourself off from the outside world. Is that part of your process?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, I do find that it gets lonely, but I do feel that the solitary confinement is necessary for making the best art. Just like I limit my palette to 4 or 5 colors, I also want to limit the stimulus that comes into my brain when I'm trying to make the art that I really want to make. So yes, that it doesn't have windows or natural light isn't a hardship for me. One day in the future, if a studio comes up that does have beautiful windows and the right kind of light, that would be amazing. But until then, just tuning in, dropping out, putting on my headphones, it works for me.
So your process is really about taking it into yourself and looking inwards in many ways.
Absolutely.
But you have worked in collaboration in the past. How many collaborations have you actually worked in, and do you find them easy?
Right. Yeah, that was a good question. I worked on at least 2 or 3 collaborations.
Can you tell us a little bit about maybe tell us about the collaborations and tell us how you feel about it?
Sure, yeah. Well, I worked on a collaboration with English artist Stephen Heaton where we mailed one piece of paper back and forth from when I was living in Arkansas. He would mail the page to me, I'd paint on it, send it to him, he'd paint on top of it.
He was based in Manchester, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And so, and that was an amazing process, and it was a fun way for us to be able to work together across great distances. And then, of course, when you came to visit, and we worked on those 9 paintings together.
I remember this.
Yes, yeah, that was a very interesting and unique collaborative experience, and I think it went really well. It wasn't always easy, but I actually tell people all the time that I think almost everybody who's going to be in a serious relationship should probably have to paint 9 paintings together. You learn a lot about each other.
In a basement.
Yeah, in a basement studio with no windows.
Yeah. Well, did you find that easy?
No, no, I didn't find it easy, but I found it very rewarding and very exciting. Yeah, collaborations in general. There's been times where maybe I've painted something and a poet has written a poem about a piece. That's happened several times, and that's fascinating to me. I do like when other artists can come together out of that sort of isolation every once in a while and work together, because it creates a multi-layered thing that would never have happened, singularly.
Sure. Well, that's all the questions I have this week. I thought before we go, would you like to tell us a little bit about what's been happening in your studio this week? I see over here there are 3 pieces you've been working on this week that have changed quite a lot since last week.
Yes, I joke that I've put these 3 in the naughty corner, and I've been working on them. Basically this week my main goal was to write the artist statement for this body of work, and I've got that pretty much well ironed out. And then there were 3 paintings that were still sort of a thorn in my side, and they weren't quite to the point where I wanted them to be, so I just had to go at them and kind of step off that edge and not hold on to any one piece that was very, precious. So there's some big broad strokes of color, yellow ochre and blue, and some darkness and some drips and charcoal around. And these last 3 pieces, I feel, are shaping up.
And they're quite radical changes. How do you feel when you've got a painting, as it was last week, where it felt like maybe it was close to being finished, but it wasn't quite there? And what you've done is you've really radically changed these. How does it feel when you take that step?
It's usually very life-affirming and very exciting, because it's a challenge for me in my art and in my life to ever step off and do anything that exactly radical. It's always scary. You never want to lose something that you've gotten accustomed to, or bits of pieces and things that you like, but that's kind of where my training comes in, where I'll always hear my favorite professor, Ron Graff, tell me that you can't hold on to one small piece of something, and you just have to kill it. And so I do. And it's always strange and exciting. And I actually feel like these 3 pieces now are probably very close to being done. Just a few little things. So my goal this week is to get the titles ready, finish off these 3, get the statement together, and then share them with the world.
Great.
All right. That wraps us up.
That does meet your questions this week.
All right. Well, thanks again for asking me these questions. And again, special thanks to Ever Dundas for her wonderful questions this week. And hope you enjoyed the series. If you've got a question, make sure you leave it on my Facebook page or send me a message, and we'll be sure to answer it. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.